I worked for years in a support role for people who were long-term unemployed, but I became ill in 2018 and I had to use a lot of help from social workers, both for myself and for my daughter who has a disability. And with that, I thought I really want to help to advocate for people. So I went to the Tech in Magherafelt and I got my Access course, and with that I decided I was going to apply to social work to give back a little of what I had received.
I wanted to become a social worker because I was a beautician and then COVID hit and I had a lot of time to reflect. So I volunteered to be a childline call handler with NSPCC, and through that really had my eyes open to what was going on in the world. At the same time I was navigating the referral process for a member of my family who was being assessed for ASD. I found those systems extremely difficult to navigate. The information was very light. So I suppose I wanted to become a social worker to help families like mine to stand up for children's rights.
Financially, it has been quite pressured. I'm a single mum to 4 children. Yes, I get student finance, but it only goes so far. So I'm cutting back financially on things in terms of food, heat, electric.
Financially, it has been extremely challenging. I know we talk a lot about the toxic trio in social work, but I would say we probably have a different toxic trio. We have the finance, the pressure to perform, and then the whole aspect of family at home.
I mean, in my first year I was able to manage with just the grant you get, but for second and third year I had to take the maintenance loans because I just couldn't make the money stretch. So yeah, debt is a worry.
I've had to take on the maximum amount of student loans. I didn't consider too much in first and second year, but now coming into final year, the stress of having to pay that back is weighing heavily on my mind. So I've used the Student Incentive Scheme to provide what would normally be not luxuries, but things that I would have provided for my children prior to this course. So like Christmas, uniforms, basic needs, to be honest with you.
The Student Incentive Scheme has really helped me in terms of being able to keep up my studies. I wouldn't have been able to afford the additional costs of childcare in my placement. I had to put extra insurance on my car. I had to run my car as well. It is a blessing, but it also doesn't go far enough.
My mental health's definitely been affected, and not only mine, but the mental health of my family. I don't know how I've got through this past 3 years. I feel like a woman that's on a mission, and the sacrifices my family have had to make because of that mission fills me with guilt.
My mental health has been affected. You're always worrying about how am I going to feed the kids this evening? How am I going to pay that extra bill for childcare? How am I going to put the oil on an extra hour in the house? Because there's just so much you have to account for now in terms of finances. Like, for example, I had problems with my car and I had to go to the garage when I was in placement. It was £400 in the month of Christmas. And my mental health was seriously affected at that point.
My studies have been affected because of my financial situation, as I've had to now take on work. I'm trying to be the role of an advocate in my job. I'm trying to be the role of a mum at home. The studies at the minute are coming a third, which isn't ideal. coming into my final year where I do want to achieve the best I can, but I have found myself staying up all night and then the next day leaving children to school just to try and get it done before going to work. It's just really difficult. It's really, really difficult.
The weight of the bills and responsibilities are all on me in terms of my family. I almost shut down and then can't study. And I think if we did have that bit more financial incentive, the worries just wouldn't be as much.
I feel the message that social work students are getting by not having the bursary increased is that we are the black sheep of the family. Like, we're told constantly that we need social workers. There's not enough social workers out there. We're also told there's high levels of social work burnout. Well, I as a student already feel that burnout, and I do think the Department of Health need to take this more seriously and encourage us a wee bit more. And coming to the end of this degree, I am completely and utterly exhausted, giving my all. So if I feel that now, that's going to impact me negatively coming into my profession as a qualified social worker.
Our lecturers are always telling us that we're on par. We're part of the Allied Health team. We're under the same banner. We have the same kind of respect in the room as everybody else. But we're the only ones that don't benefit from having our fees paid or indeed having our bursary increased. So you kind of question then, are we the same? Are we on the same level? It certainly doesn't feel like it. It just feels very, very uneven and you don't feel appreciated.
On several occasions I've considered dropping out of my course and maybe not deferring. It would be great to have a bit more support and a quality of life, family life around that, so I could feel a wee bit more like me while bettering myself.
I am aware of a couple of people that were in my cohort that dropped out due to finances, mostly around childcare. My childcare costs alone are almost £1,000 in a month, and if you're then adding to that with placement, I know there's people that couldn't afford it and have deferred now. It's a big issue, particularly in a degree like this one. It does attract people who are more mature, who have families. They're just meeting barriers everywhere, in particular in terms of finance.
Social work students need to be held in highest regard as nurses and all our allied health professionals. So financially, we need to be on par with them. And I think that the politicians maybe need to come and talk to us about our experience and hear what real life is like for us and the struggles, the challenges and the barriers that we are facing day in and day out just to obtain this degree.
You're constantly advocating for yourself, for others, for everybody around you, but somehow you feel like your voice just isn't being heard. You know, like I was lucky enough to meet with the minister, but I just felt like maybe I was just talking to the wall. You know, he was there, but he wasn't hearing what we were saying. It knocks in your confidence, it knocks in your resilience, and you're trying to go out there and do the job, the best job you can do as a social worker, but you're not feeling heard as a student or as a person or as a human. And that does impact on how you feel like you can do your job if the people at the top aren't listening to the people that's coming through on the ground. It's hard then to think, well, how am I going to use my resilience to work with people, with service users, if the people who are supposed to care about us aren't listening?